What if the same beings who brought chaos to the ancient world, those called gods by the nations, were really fallen angels remembered in every corner of the earth? From the vast temples of India to the dragons of China and the stepped pyramids of Mesoamerica, we find the same story. Sky beings descending, intermarrying, bringing forbidden knowledge, and receiving worship. In part 1, we explored how Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Norse mythology preserved the memory of the biblical watchers. But now we're going to turn to the East and the Americas to continue the picture.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
And some things that should not have been forgotten were lost.
Man shall be ruled by law, not by the will of other men.
What is it? An ark. To hold the innocent. And the Creator sends his deluge to wipe out the wicked from this world.
The Lord of hosts will do battle for us. Behold his mighty hand.
Welcome back to Glory Concealed. This is part 2 of our series on the Watchers and their influence on ancient global civilizations. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll put a link down in the description for that episode. But in this episode, we'll explore the divine pantheons and the hybrid heroes of Hindu India, the sage kings and flood myths of ancient China, and the god kings and giants of the Americas. We're going to follow in the traces of the same celestial rebellion across the globe. And then we're going to bring it all together in a kind of final biblical analysis and summary that makes sense of it all. If this topic resonates with you, then make sure and hit that like button and subscribe and drop a comment below. Let's uncover the unseen together. Ancient India's religious history is vast, complex, and filled with divine beings who walked the earth. In the Mahabharata, one of the oldest epics in world history, we find heroes who are not fully human. The Pandava brothers, the protagonists of the tale, are born from human women, but fathered by gods. Yudhishthira is fathered by the god of justice, Bhima by the wind god Vanu, Arjuna by Indra, the sky god. These are all demigods, warriors of immense strength, wielding divine weapons. They are praised as heroes, but from a biblical lens, they resemble the Nephilim. The Mahabharata even describes the earth groaning under the weight of wicked, powerful beings, until the gods act to wipe them out in a massive war. It's the same cycle: hybrid offspring, violence, and judgment. Hindu texts also speak of the Asuras, spiritual beings who once dwelt in heaven, but fell into rebellion. They war against the Devas, the heavenly gods. The Devas and the Asuras are cousins, both divine lineages, but split between loyalty and rebellion. This mirrors, of course, the divine council we find in Scripture. Some angels remain loyal to God, while others rebel. And then there's the flood of Manu. In this story, a god appears to a man named Manu and warns him of a coming flood. Manu builds a boat and survives. He becomes the new ancestor of mankind. Even the 7 sages survive with him, reminiscent, of course, of the Mesopotamian Apkallu, or Noah's tale. It's another thread in the tapestry of global flood memory. From the jungles of India, now we're going to travel northeast to a civilization that revered the dragon and recorded history through dynasties of heavenly rulers. In Chinese tradition, the earliest rulers weren't mere mortals. They were the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, semi-divine sages who taught humanity the essentials of civilization. Fuji invented writing, fishing, and domestication. Shenyang, the divine farmer, taught medicine and agriculture. Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor, brought order, warfare, and technology. These figures lived for hundreds, even thousands of years. Some were depicted with serpentine lower bodies, suggesting their divine or hybrid origins. Their reign is said to have occurred in a golden age, long before the first human dynasties. The parallels to the antediluvian world in Genesis are very clear. Chinese mythology also preserves a flood story, the tale of Yu the Great. A massive flood covers the land. Only through divine help is it controlled. Yu becomes the founder of the Xia dynasty. There's also a story of Nuwa, a goddess who repairs the heavens after a catastrophe, echoing the divine intervention to preserve the world after judgment. We also see in later Taoist and Buddhist traditions a vast celestial bureaucracy, gods, spirit kings, and immortals ruling regions of the earth. This, of course, mirrors Deuteronomy 32 and the worldview of spiritual rulers who are assigned to the nations. Now we're going to cross the oceans to the Americas. Despite the distance, the stories that echo have the same pattern. Among the Maya, Aztec, and Inca civilizations, we find reoccurring themes of sky gods, floods, giants, and civilizing deities. Let's start with Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent of Mesoamerican myth. Also known as Kukulkan to the Maya, Quetzalcoatl was said to have descended from the heavens. He taught humans writing, astronomy, agriculture, and law. He opposed human sacrifice. He was eventually driven out, but promised to return one day. Now, doesn't Quetzalcoatl sound a lot like one of the Watchers, bringing advanced knowledge to early humanity? We see, in fact, Aztec mythology describes multiple suns or world ages. In one of these, the world was destroyed by a great flood, and humanity turned into fish. Before the flood, the land was inhabited by giants, called the Quinametsin, who were wiped out when the heavens collapsed. Among the Inca, we find Viracocha, another bearded, light-skinned god who came from the sea, taught civilization, and then departed. Like Quetzalcoatl, he too was associated with creation and restoration after a cataclysm. And also, in North America, Native American legends speak of star people, sky gods, and giants. The Cherokee, the Sioux, the Hopi all preserve fragments of these stories, beings who descended, intermingled, and then departed. Many of these beings brought knowledge, but they also brought corruption and demanded worship. So, what does all of this mean? Well, around the world, cultures remember a time when gods walked among men. They remember knowledge being gifted, boundaries being crossed, and judgment being poured out. From the Apkallu in Mesopotamia to the Pandavas of India, from the god kings of Egypt to the feathered serpents of the Americas, it's the same pattern. The names are different, the temples look different, but the central story is always the same. The Bible tells us in Genesis 6 that the sons of God came down to earth, took human wives, and gave birth to giants, the Nephilim. In 1 Enoch, we see these beings teaching humanity forbidden knowledge, creating chaos, and being judged. These were the Watchers. After Babel, God divides the nations and allots them to other divine beings, rulers who later became corrupt. Psalm 82 shows their condemnation. Paul calls them demons. In every culture we've examined, from Sumer to Scandinavia, India to China, the Andes to the Mesoamerica, we see the same story wearing different masks. A heavenly rebellion, forbidden union, hybrid offspring, divine knowledge, judgment by a flood, and the lingering memory of gods who once ruled the earth. But these are not all coincidences. These are cultural distortions of a singular, true story, one preserved faithfully in the Bible. The Watchers became the gods of the nations. The Nephilim became the legendary heroes, giants, and monsters of myth. And the Most High God, the God of Israel, stood alone, untouched by corruption, preparing a plan to reclaim the nations through his Messiah. This is why Christ's victory matters. In Colossians 2:15, Paul writes that Jesus disarmed the rulers and authorities and put them to open shame by triumphing over them. You see, through the cross, Jesus didn't just save individuals. He began a cosmic reclamation, stripping authority from the fallen sons of God who ruled over the nations and bringing those nations back under the rule of the King of Kings. This isn't just ancient history, it's the story of reality itself, and it points forward to a day when all the false gods will fall and the glory of the Lord will fill the earth as the waters cover the sea. If this 2-episode series has given you a new lens through which to see history and our world, and the unseen war behind it, then please give it a share and a like. Let's start a conversation. Let others see the patterns that have been hidden in plain sight. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more deep dives into the mysteries we find in Scripture and ancient civilizations and the spiritual battle that rages through it all. You can also find Glory Concealed on X and Instagram at Glory Concealed, as well as on Spotify and Rumble. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and give glory to the one true King.